The Sopranos is a great show. It has the perfect blend of comedy, seriousness, and of course, top tier acting with incredible memes. But at its core, it's a series about running a dysfunctional and difficult crime family alongside having a regular family. But the episode that I'm about to talk about stands out from that formula. It's an episode where the facade of forced etiquette, of boundaries and hierarchy is broken down and thrown aside. And in its place, we see raw human nature take over. Episode 11 of Season 3 covers two stories in parallel. One with Tony's affair with Gloria, and the other a debt collection turned murder. Now, what makes this episode unique is that both plots of the episode are actually intertwined with one common theme, that being the animalistic nature of humans. However, what I want to especially focus on is how the dynamic of the mafia is broken down once our human survivalist nature begins to resurface and our life is threatened. Ironically, there's a lot of symbolism that points to this, so let's break it down. The first scene we see is with Paulie, where he's tasked by Tony to pick up Silvio's debt collection in his place due to Silvio being sick. All normal crime family duties, which is great because the episode begins normally, acting as if it's just another day at work. A key thing to take note here is that Paulie is in a beauty salon, getting what seems to be a manicure for his nails. He's dressed up nicely, his hair is kept and maintained, and he seems calm and composed. He's in control. The idea of a luxury, something that Paulie does for his own vanity, is a key point in showing the decline of appearance and formality in the case of survival. Later on, we see him and Christopher having gone to pick up the debt. The scene opens with Paulie's evident racism towards Russians, something that plays great emphasis later on. This racism evolves into further tension and escalation between Paulie and Valeri, with him mocking the Russian for being a drunk and enjoying the delicacies of America. It's ironic because Paulie here is essentially being a hypocrite, as in just the previous scene we see him enjoying the same types of luxuries that Valeri is. The tension evolves into physical violence, with Christopher acting as the middleman trying to defuse the situation. The confrontation ends with Paulie crushing Valeri's windpipe, an action that's arguably unnecessary, but it's clear that Paulie had no issue with killing him, as he immediately sets a plan on how to cover up this murder instead of trying to save him. Again, take note of Paulie's hair, tidy and neat, still a reflection of the order of the crime family and the control that he has over the situation. Paulie then calls Tony, asking what he wants him to do with the situation at hand. It's in this phone call where Paulie actually lies to Tony about what happened, claiming that Valeri sucker punched him first. This, for me, is the first sign of weakness in the supposed order that the crime family has. Paulie knows his money or position in the mafia might be on the line for messing up the situation, and chooses to alleviate himself from responsibility by shifting the blame onto the victim. A move of cowardice by mafia standards, but of logic in terms of human survival. The following scene is actually pretty tame, considering it's just Christopher and Paulie discussing how to dispose of the body. They take the situation very lightly, and again, despite having a body in the trunk of the car, Paulie greets people with a friendly and seemingly innocent smile, a testament to how good he's gotten at acting and pretending over the years of being in crime. Eventually deciding to bury him in South Jersey, they drive to a secluded spot in the woods. However, kicking and panting is Valeri, somehow alive. He's chewed through the tape and breathing. However, attempting to have killed him, they're too far gone to somehow negotiate their way out of this. And Paulie, with his arrogance and Italian-American pride, likely stemming from the mafia's influence, decides to take him out in the woods and have him dig up his own grave. A fun fact that I noticed actually is that as Valeri's walking, he's looking up into the sky. I think this actually ties into how he escapes. We see him use the shovel against Christopher, whacking him on the head and then butting the shovel into Paulie's stomach as he makes his escape. Despite seemingly shooting him in the head, Valeri manages to somehow escape, with my theory being that he just climbed up a tree, hence why the blood trail ends. And with this disaster, the two begin the search for him. They wind up walking in a circle somehow, showing just how out of their depth they are in a scenario like this, where something goes unplanned. And what makes things worse is that they find out he's an ex-commando, essentially a one-man army. And to top it all off, Paulie loses his shoe, so now he risks losing his foot to frostbite. I think it's at this point that they both start to lose control, realizing just how much they underestimated him and overestimated themselves. While nightfall falls upon them, they luckily stumble upon a truck, their shelter for the night. Something to take note of is that as Christopher tries to open the door, Paulie pushes it, as well as Christopher, aside and gets in first. This is but the start of his true selfishness revealing itself from under the concealment of the organized criminal he presents himself to be. Best of all, this is the scene where his hair becomes messed up, a symbol of his lost control, and the start of the every man for himself mentality he chose to adopt in a true fight or flight scenario. We see the group scrounging on ketchup packs, trying to get any sustenance they can. In the meantime, they try and get some sleep to wait for the warmth of the morning sun. It's here though that we see Paulie's deceit in its fullest, and the realization of responsibility. He knows this botched job is gonna cost him big time, whether that's money, rank, or even his life. So, like any weasel would do, he tries to convince Tony that this was Christopher's doing, shifting the blame onto him and fully embracing the survival of the fittest. We see him snap, making excuses and blaming Silvio for being sick or Tony for belittling him. He expresses his clearly deeply rooted feelings of being unappreciated over the years by Tony, while also feeling put on the sidelines due to Ralphie's rise in success and position. This scene is integral to his character as a whole, as it's actually his start to his shift in trust over to the New York family run by Carmine. He goes as far to suggest Chris give him his shoes so he can go search for help, but obviously Christopher declines, seeing through his plan to just leave him there and escape. Finally, Paulie admits defeat, calling Tony to come get them and accept the responsibility of failing the assignment he was given, whatever that may be. However, as they wait, the climax of this scene arrives. When Christopher realizes Paulie's been withholding Tic Tacs from him the whole time, having just eaten them all himself, he snaps. This starts the tension between the two, and it's this tension that fuels Chris's carelessness towards Paulie, talking to him however he wants despite their rank difference. And he actually describes their situation perfectly. It's as the tension escalates that we find out Christopher knows about Paulie's plan to throw him under the bus. And finally, the tension explodes between the two, becoming physical. According to Mafia hierarchy, no made man or above is allowed to be physically threatened, let alone grabbed or even worse, as we see, have a gun pulled on them. But right here, it's simply a battle of two humans struggling to survive. We see that both of them are genuinely worried they'll die because, frankly, they've both thrown their sense of respect and etiquette out the window. Of course, they laugh it off as a joke, and everything just blows over. But they, as well as us as an audience, realize just how little loyalty matters when it comes to pure survival. Morning arrives, and the pair thankfully get rescued by Tony and Bobby. But the whole experience is a private window for the audience into just how easily these mafia ties and formalities can be broken down in the face of survival. Sure, when everything's going swimmingly and smoothly, everyone is more than happy to uphold these set rules and values that differentiate organized crime from disorganized crime. But when you break down these formalities and put someone in a state where truthfully there's simply a human being, vulnerable, hungry, scared, anxious, those things don't matter anymore. Whether you watch your tone with the boss, whether you respect your higher up, none of it matters when you're dead. And so you become just like any other beast in the wild, capable and willing to do anything in order to survive.